In this one, there are 10, actually no, 11 marriage candidates for boys and for girls. One of the marriage candidates this is actually kind of weird, but he or she could be interchangeable. So, um, she has this look where he could be a boy or she could be a girl. So if you're a boy, if you're a boy, she's a girl. If you're a girl, he's a guy. So there's 11 marriage candidates. A lot of the characters in Harvest Moon do reappear. So from the old Harvest Moons, if you would play them, you're like, oh, I remember him. He was in Harvest Moon 64, or he was in Harvest Moon Back to Nature. Or some of them are just new. These are the boys that you can marry. I don't know if you can see them all. But a lot of these characters were in the old Harvest Moons. They were in Harvest Moon 64 and in Harvest Moon Back to Nature. For example, Bob, he was the guy that would pick up your, everything that you put in, like, let's say your harvest, like all the vegetables that you made one day, you put them in the shipping bin. He was the guy that would come and pick them up. In the old Harvest Moons, Basil was also one of the characters. You couldn't marry him, obviously, because you were a guy in all the old Harvest Moons. But a lot of these are returned characters. The girls, these are the girls. I don't know if you can see them. Also, they are some return, like Anne. If you guys played the Harvest Moon games, you'll remember Anne from Harvest Moon 64 and from Back to Nature. And Ellen. I believe her name used to be Ellie, but she's basically the same character. So yeah, this one is fun. So I do recommend that one. All the Harvest Moons, something that I forgot to mention was that all the Harvest Moons have a plot to them. So you're like, another game? Don't you just need one? All you do is farm and feed your animals and stuff like that. No, they all have their own specific storyline. And they all include the Harvest Goddess. On here, she's right there. She always looks pretty much the same, but she sometimes has different colors. See here, she's purple. Sometimes she's like turquoise and stuff. In this one, it's related to these musical notes. You have to collect these musical notes to bring her, like, it's usually that she's dying, or she needs something to be stronger, or to make the village stronger, or something like that. It's usually a storyline like that, where you have to do something specific to give more energy to the Harvest Goddess, and make the town a happier place, type of thing. It seems like it's a very childish game, but it's not. It definitely is not for the type of gamer that wants to, like, that's into, like, shooters, where all they want to do is, like, action and kill things. Definitely not the first choice, I guess. I have heard of the gamers that love that type of game, the shooting and all that, and the killing, that actually play Harvest Moon. So it's even though it seems like a game that you're like, oh my god, that's for kids, it's not. I mean, it might be rated E for everybody, I think, but I think it's for it really is for everybody. It's a fun game. It's addictive, and if you like The Sims, or if you like Farmville, you will like Harvest Moon. The next game that came out, this one was for the Wii, the first Harvest Moon game for the Wii. This one came out in 2007, or Magical Melody came out in 2006. Tree of Tranquility. Tree of Tranquility was really cool because not only it was because it was the first game for the Wii, and it was awesome to see the new style of graphics, because it doesn't look very cutesy anymore. It looks more anime-ish. The characters are a little bit bigger. They're not as short and, cute and stuff. They're a little bit taller. And there's new characters. The animals look a lot more realistic. They're bigger and they just look real. I mean, not like really real where you're like, oh my god, that's a cow. I mean, they look cartoony, but they look less cartoony than the other games. You have, I think, 8 marriage candidates. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, 8. You could be a boy or a girl in this one. You could have 8 marriage. You have 8 marriage candidates. For a boy, you have 8 marriage candidates, but for a girl, there was a glitch that I hated. A lot of people hated it because instead of having 8 marriage candidates, you basically had 7 marriage candidates because one of the coolest characters, in my opinion, I love this guy, and I wanted to marry him, but I couldn't because there was a glitch. I know some people actually fixed it, but I don't know how they did it. It's Calvin, this guy right here. He reminds me a lot of Indiana Jones because he has like the hat and everything, and he's an archaeologist, and he was just really cool. And you couldn't marry him. He was supposed to be you were supposed to be able to marry him, but because of this glitch, you can't. But everybody else, so I ended up marrying Owen. That guy down there with the red hair. He was cool too. So I married Owen. I was a girl. Because everybody else was kind of like, whatever. I'll probably just be friends with them. But there's a lot of interesting villagers in this game. I love the villagers. They're really cool. So yeah, Tree of Tranquility is awesome game. I would recommend it. It gives you a different feel from the old Harvest Moon games, but still the same environment, I guess. And in the same year, Animal Parade came out, which was kind of weird because they hadn't really done that with Harvest Moon games, especially for consoles. But it was cool. I mean, hey, I was like, what? Another Harvest Moon game? Hells yeah. The thing about Animal Parade is that it's almost the same as Tree of Tranquility because it's all the same. You've got all the same villagers. It's the same characters. A little bit different. 1 or 2 are missing from Tree of Tranquility. And there's like 3 new characters that weren't in Tree of Tranquility. It's a different town. And it's a different storyline. So there's a lot more things added. There's more things added to Animal Parade. So I kind of prefer Animal Parade more than Tree of Tranquility because you can marry the same. You've got 2 new characters, which are the witch. If you're a boy, if you want to marry her. If you're a girl, you can marry the wizard. So they're basically the 2 new bachelors. And then, of course, if you're a boy, you could also marry the harvest goddess, which is kind of weird. I don't know, I never really liked that idea. And if you're a girl, you can marry the harvest king, which was weird too. The harvest king is a new character. He wasn't in Tree of Tranquility either. There's never been a harvest king, actually. It's always been the harvest goddess. But there's both. There's both in this game. This game is very addicting. I got it in the year it came out. So when did I say 2007? Yes, it came 2007, and I still play it. This game you could play for like almost forever. One of the things that was cool about Tree of Tranquility was that your kid, the baby that you had, would grow up and you were actually able to play the game again, but as your kid. In Tree of Tranquility, so that was cool. But in Animal Parade, you have a kid. You could have a boy and you could have two kids. They could be a boy and a girl, or the same genders, two boys or two girls. You could choose. They look different. Whether you choose the boy to be the older brother and the girl to be the younger sister, or there's a younger brother. There's a version for the older brother, and there's a version for the younger brother, and then there's by version I mean like a look, the specific look for the older sister and the younger sister. So it's really cool. Because you have two kids finally, and they grow up. They don't grow up to adulthood. They grow up to be kids, older kids, and you can't play as them in this one. They do come back. They do come out for your next gameplay in a certain way, but you don't play as them. You have new animals in this one. You could have an ostrich. Um, there are some things that I don't like about this game, like the barn. It's kind of limiting. It doesn't really let you have all the animals that you want. You can only have 3 types of animals. The largest barn you can have 8 animals, but you can only have 3 types. So you can only have a cow, a sheep, or a horse. In one time, you can't have like a cow, a sheep, a horse, and an ostrich. If you want an ostrich, you have to get rid of the sheep, the cow, or the horse. So that kind of sucks. Another thing that's new in this game is that you could ride all your animals. You could ride your cow, you could ride your sheep, you could ride whatever. That's new, so you don't really have to rely on your horse in this game. Every character, not only the characters that you can marry, have hearts in this game. I think in Tree of Tranquility as well. So you could become friends, like best friends with someone, or just a few hearts. I think they have 10 hearts, and the people that you marry, you fill the 10 hearts, and then after marriage, you actually fill them again. So they're pink, and then they turn like red afterwards.